So an interesting story came out about Brighton owner Tony Bloom this week. Apparently, he's held talks with Hearts about a deal with his analytics company in terms of recruitment, how he can help on that front, and that would see him take a minority stake in Hearts. Could that be a concern for the likes of Celtic and Rangers that they're getting maybe a recruitment specialist in and someone with quite a bit of money to back them if that deal were to happen?
Yeah. So clearly they know what they're doing, Brighton, on the data side, and they already do have Tony Bloom's company, Star Lizard, is already paid £3 million per annum for the data services in relation to this sort of stuff. So transfers and other data. It's in the accounts actually as a related party transaction. It's disclosed. Tony Bloom also has an ownership of a Belgian team, Royal Union, and I assume that is a similar kind of arrangement. He did have to make certain changes to how that company was operated following the qualification into Europe, so that they weren't banned, and so that would be a concern, I think, as well for Hearts. But clearly, somebody that knows what they're doing on the data side that can acquire players relatively cheaply, put them into the Scottish League, increase the value, and has some form of ownership is going to be a challenge to the big boys. So it could be interesting. The track record is there for all to see. That the data that they're providing to Brighton does appear to be working and does appear to be a very, very high quality product. So if Hearts can get access to that, I doubt it's going to cost the £3 million that Brighton pay. Then it could give them that edge. That could get quite interesting in Scotland if that works.
Yeah, definitely. And then it emerged this week that Celtic's revenue has risen to almost 125 million for 2023-24. Is it possible for them to really bridge that financial gap on Premier League clubs, given how the Scottish League is currently operating and struggling in terms of funding?
Well, 125 is quite a lot, and we know that it's. I mean, Celtic are not completely unique, but largely unique because they've got the Champions League aspect, and obviously they just got a very big win in the week. If they could qualify somehow out of the group stages, I mean, they'll get money for the win. You get money for each win that you get, so it's a very good start for them. They're probably going to beat 125 million for the current year. Their wage bill is more under control than than most Premier League teams. So they're actually quite well placed in some ways. So their wage bill, just to put it into some sort of perspective, their wage bill for 2023 was 60 million quid, which would be the bottom of the Premier League. So a very, very a manageable wage bill, a Champions League franchise, for want of a better word. It means they're in quite an advantageous position once they're in those group or league stages of the Champions League, which they are this season and were last season. So it's a big advantage over Rangers, for example, who just won't have that 50 million quid, let's say, that comes from the group stages. It may not be as much as 50, but it's probably pretty close. It's just an enormous advantage over the competition. So that they're in quite a good spot, I think, to dominate financially. But compared to the Premier League, that's a different question. And clearly, if they were in the Premier League, then they wouldn't be getting the Champions League money. So they're not going to want to do that. Their best opportunity really is to have guaranteed Champions League revenue for as long as possible. And although the Premier League could offer different things, first of all, it's very difficult to see how that would ever happen. But secondly, it would almost certainly lose them Champions League money, which so it would be swings and roundabouts probably.